I watch a lot of your videos. My question: a lot of my peers get AP'd, which is I think Andy Paquette, no, affiliate player, or LOIs, which is a letter of intent, and I had to turn my brain on for
Yeah.
those. Okay, so a lot of my peers get APs or letters of intent. I'm happy for them, but why am I not seeing the same success with when I produce like them? That was
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay when I produce like them. And I have the similar. I produce like them, and I have the similar attributes. I know I have to keep grinding. How do I avoid the frustration?
Good
All right.
question.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So again, okay. So now it comes down to like, actually, I wrote an answer down. My first thought was that is there something missing in your game?
Mhm.
100%. So you points in production is not the best indication of what type of player you are. So you can and comparing yourself to your teammates and guys in the league, like I mean, we kind of do that naturally, but it's not fair. Like if you do comparisons, it's never fair. Because if you compare yourself to someone better than you, then it's just they're better than you. Compare yourself to someone worse than you, then well, yeah, then you look like a hero. But points are not the best indication. My question would be like if you have 20 points now in 20 games, how did you get those points? What did you do after and in between,
Yeah.
and who are you playing with and who are you playing against? Like there's a lot of things that could give you um, give you your points or your production.
Yep.
The real question is what in your game are you missing? And this is where you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to be, and this is sometimes it's really hard to be honest with yourself and analyze your game. And the caveat again is always, where do I want to be in hockey? So obviously this player here wants to get to a higher level. Now, want is a tricky word because you either would like to or you want to. And if you really want to, you're going to sit there and analyze your game and be honest with yourself and find gaps in your game. The second way that you can do this, if you're really honest with yourself, is you might want to look at someone that could actually analyze your game for you, your coach, someone that watches you a lot, or bring video or whatever, someone that could sit down and actually be honest with you and say, yeah, you go really hard when you have the puck, but your D zone absolutely stinks. You don't know how to play without the puck. You haven't finished one hit. You're brain dead. Like whatever the gaps are, and then you can say, okay, how do I go about fixing it? And it might seem like a big task, but it's a necessary task if you want to get somewhere.
Yep.
So find the hole. Maybe you get to places, but you're the ugliest skater in the world. Again, I don't know how old you are. I don't know what your game's like. I don't know. I haven't seen you skate, shoot, or whatever. But there's obviously, in my opinion, something missing in your game, and that's it's important that you figure it out.
Yeah, I think because I remember I answered the kid and I said basically what you just said, but the key is from his description of the question, he's saying I produce like them and I have similar attributes as them. So why are they getting a notice and I'm not? And the honest truth is that's probably not true entirely. So the being honest part is so important because if you're producing like them, you have the same attributes as them. That means you're the same as them. You would be getting the same attention as them, and you're not. But you're saying you're not. So that means there's something is not aligned with your description of the situation. So obviously, everyone has a bias towards themselves. So you might be, you say this a lot, overestimating yourself and underestimating how good your competition is. And that could be your teammates or the guys you're playing against. So it's really important that you try to be as honest as possible and get objective or as objective as possible criticism about where you're missing. Because, if you play on the first line with two guys that are great, you might be getting all the same points as them, but maybe they're doing all the work, or maybe they're the ones that are making the difference. And if they put you on a different line, all of a sudden you're irrelevant, So and I'm not saying that's necessarily the case. I don't know the situation. I haven't seen this kid play.
And I was going to say that, and we'll go back to that stuff. The other side of it is that you just might have to grind it out.
Yep.
Like you might actually be the guy that is getting overlooked, or whatever. Like there might be something. And I just threw a couple things here, right? Like I used Sean Day for an example. That's what you saw Sean Day on here. So Sean Day, I've trained Sean Day. He was an exceptional status in the OHL. Went 4th overall, I think it was. I don't personally think he should have been an exceptional status, but he's one of the best skaters you've ever seen. Played in the OHL, and then he got drafted to the New York Rangers and never panned out. But anyways, he was drafted in 2015, I think, 2016, something like that. And he had his first NHL game last night.
Yep.
What is it, 2021?
Yeah,
Almost 22.
Yep.
So I'm not really getting math. 6 years?
Yep.
Before he went from first exceptional status in the OHL to getting his first NHL game.
Right.
And he's probably, and I know, well, I'll tell you how it was. He was always questioning, like, but I'm great.
Yeah.
You know, like he was an exceptional status. Why isn't this working out? People saw gaps in his game that he didn't see. I could give you a list, the same thing as the IKEA list of things that he needed to get better at. Attitude, not saying he was a jackass, but he needed to have a better work ethic. He needed to show better body language. He had to do more thinking. He couldn't just rely on his skating.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He had a good skater, good shot, and then after that, it was like, So, anyways, he got his first game. So, at the end of the day, he got there.
Yeah, right.
And my point of that is that your time, if you do the work and you find those little things to work on, then your opportunity is going to come if you're good enough.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So, when Seabass was here over the break, I was asking him how things were going, and going back to you need to figure out where your gaps are, kind of thing. So he was telling me that he talked to his coach, whatever, and that his coach put a real nice message about him in their team group chat. And I was like, oh, freaking right on, man. Like, that's awesome. So he sent it to me. So I'm going to read a piece of it because I don't think he'll care. So at some point, he was doing something wrong. His coach gave him some feedback on it, and he fixed it. So basically what he was playing on the wall in his D zone, getting a pass, and he was turning back towards his own corner instead of going up ice. So in the group chat, the coach sent a video of him not doing that. He fixed it. He would get it, and he was moving it up ice. So just like the first sentence of the message was, he's number 15. So he goes, 15, shoulder check and play north. Previous game turned back and never shoulder checked. Anyone wonder why he is A, playing up in the lineup, B, getting better, and C, going on the PP today? He listens. Not listens, but actually listens. Absorbs information and makes the adjustments to his game. And on and on. So what my point in bringing that up is sometimes, most of the time probably, is it's not big things that are the difference, it's little things. So if you're, for this guy's message saying we're looking at points, or I'm producing as much as they are, I'm assuming that means points production.
Yeah, for sure.
So that oftentimes isn't the metric that the coach is looking at.
That's right.
That or the scouts are looking at.
That's right.
They're looking at, can you play the game?
Yep.
And this is an example of a small play. Like, you would think that's nothing. You know, you get the puck on the wall as a winger, and he turned back towards his own end instead of moving it up ice right away.
Yep.
And that was a problem. And when scouts see that, those are the little things. They look at little things like that. Are you playing north-south? Are you playing in the style that our team plays? And the way that Saginaw plays, like they were saying before, they're a puck possession team. They want to play skill. They don't want to play dump and chase and all that kind of crap, and playing fast. And if you don't do that, that's an issue. That has nothing to do with points. Like, I never said points there. I didn't say goals, assists. I didn't say that. So if you're being scouted or being looked at, or when you're saying I'm not getting noticed the same way that these other kids are, then look to the little things. Don't look to the big plays. Like, yeah, you can hit that guy on the tape. Great. That's baseline. Yeah, you can rip the puck. Great. That's baseline. It's the little in-between things. Do you do those things properly? Because those are oftentimes the difference makers of whether you can play at the next level or not.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone is good at the skill stuff. You know, so if you're using skill-based metrics, which is points or whatever, then that's not necessarily the reason why you're not getting noticed. It's probably something that's outside of that.
Yeah.
You know,
well, but even speaking of that, so when we were skating at Christmas, I was saying to Charlie, we had a handful of guys, but we had with Charlie and Seabass. I'll use their names because they wouldn't care. I noticed Charlie's shot was not the way it was when he left here.
Yeah, you're saying that, yeah.
Stick handling, he said, is not that good. I thought it was fine. Seabass, there's a couple gaps that we worked on that he kind of went back to. Whose responsibility is that to keep it up?
Yeah,
it's yours.
Yeah.
So
same in the gym too. In the gym, we did the same conversation.
Yeah. But so my point is I'm not giving them shit or anything. It's not what it was about. It's like what happens is when you're playing the game and you're doing the practice, what happens, you get in a grind, you get in a habit, and sometimes going to the rink is just got to get another practice, right?
Yeah.
Another practice, got to listen to this friggin' guy bark about the same shit all day, right? And I don't feel like it today. So you work on just not making mistakes. You work on executing properly. What can happen is you're just whatever basic skills that you have. If you like, they can kind of diminish because you're not putting the mental focus on it. So
the intent
for him
goes,
with
the
his
purpose
shot,
goes, all that
yeah,
stuff.
for him
You
with his
let it go.
shot.
Yeah.
So because he's played more of a power forward role and not handling the puck as much, he hasn't maybe he's put more attention on getting pucks out of his zone, different things like that, right? So his shot, not that it's shit, but it wasn't that crisp. So we just spent some time and just went over a couple details, and then after about half an hour, he was starting ripping pucks again. So after 5 days, 6 days, it was like, now Dad, I can shoot again. Not that he couldn't shoot, but it's like, now that's the shot that you were. So it was the same with stick hand. We spent a little time on the basics. Boom. So I was telling him, like, when you go back, it's not that they're gaps, but you want to keep your best attributes the best, and then work on your weaknesses. So like pick a day and go, okay, I'm going to shoot with a purpose, not just shoot. We talked about this in our last podcast. Yep. Not just going to shoot 100 pucks. Shooting 100 pucks does diddly shit if you're not actually doing it with a purpose. Shoot for accuracy, shoot for quickness, like focus on your mechanics. That's work. Stick handling, focus on things that are going to maybe need to be, keep your agility up, right? So work on 5 minutes of agility like twice a week,
right? And
then on the other stuff. So anyways, this person, find some of your weaknesses, ask somebody who can help you with that and give you some actual tangible stuff, and then it's up to you to go fix it. And there's no rush. There's time, man.
Yeah,
totally. You know, and again, we talked about this all the time. You never know who's going to make it, right? Owen, right? Like you're drafted second overall in the OHL. You're supposed to be in the NHL right now, right? Either guys really screwed up, right, or whatever, right? There's something that happened, right? That doesn't mean that anything's over. It just means that, okay, we got to readjust, recalibrate.